Okay, so hopefully final part here, guys. So moving on to something that's negative about this theory. So remember, when you're doing a 12 marker or something, you're going to need to use Willmott and Young as evidence, and then naturally you will move on to evaluating the theory. Okay, so it's important that you have something positive and something negative to say about this idea. So what different theories would say about it. So the feminists, we've already slightly touched on it. Okay, they would argue that there hasn't actually been symmetry in the family. Okay, women do face the brunt of work more than men. Okay, so again, you could even reference Delphi and Leonard at that point because that's basically what they would say about Willmott and Young. Okay, so remember, Willmott and Young came before Delphi and Leonard, so Delphi and Leonard would actually probably say that about this idea of a symmetrical family, okay, coming from 1992. Equally, another thing we could talk about, obviously moving away from feminism, Marxists, okay, they would argue that a change based on this idea of stratified diffusion is another way of the bourgeoisie infiltrating family life. Okay, remember, if it's coming from the top of the stratification system, so the top class, the bourgeoisie themselves, okay, all that is doing is getting the proletariat to organize their families in the way that the bourgeoisie want them to. Okay, so it's not really a positive thing for Marxists either. And equally, the elephant in the room, okay, it claims to predict the next stage of family organization, but there's very little evidence to suggest that has actually happened. Okay, remember, it's in 1976, so a little while ago now. So we should really have seen this change quite evidently by now, and it just hasn't happened. Okay, so again, another thing that you can really talk about. I mean, it's not enough to say that it's just outdated. Okay, like I know a lot of you like to. Okay, you need to go into a bit more depth. Okay, but that is the gist of it. Okay, it is somewhat outdated, and there's no sort of evidence to suggest that their prediction has come true. Okay, so if you've got your yellow sheets in front of you whilst you're watching this, then you'll see that you've got one of these, okay, to talk about each of the stages. I'm going to leave this obviously on screen. You can pause this video now if you want to take a few of my notes, okay, just sort of talking about each of the stages in a bit more depth. Hopefully the text is enough for you to sort of understand what was going on at each of these stages. You can see stage 4 down here as well. But equally, if there are any issues that you have in understanding anything that I've written here, drop me an email or just ask me in class. I'm absolutely more than happy to talk you through it. But it should be fairly straightforward. The most difficult bit is understanding this idea of stratified diffusion, I would say. Okay, so as long as you can understand that, that's fairly straightforward. And obviously the symmetrical family, hopefully that's fairly straightforward too. Okay, so that's Willmott and Young. Hopefully that makes sense. Any issues, drop me